I'm Todd Cohen, the sales culture architect. And as I have been recording and uploading my 13 rules for So You Want to Be a Paid Professional Speaker. Well, I am happy to give you today rule number 4. Now, these have all been on my sales culture YouTube channel. So before we continue, hit subscribe, hit notify, hit like, drop me a comment. Let me know what you think. Now, I started this series because I keep getting deluged on LinkedIn and over email with requests to help me build my speaking business. And I just I get to the point where I'm just so tired of them because the vast majority of these people are not speakers, or they don't they haven't done the research, and they've not looked at anything that I've done, like my profile, my website. It's just mass, emails of like, so you want to be a speaker, and they're appealing to something that a lot of people in my travels, I'm going to get my coffee here. A lot of people in my travels have really expressed as, hey, how did you get started? And I have never not answered that question. In fact, you know, good speakers are never shy about sharing how they got started and what they do. If somebody wants to charge you for that information, be very, very careful. In fact, don't walk, run. Now, okay, that's my sort of preamble to this whole thing. Because I get really just frustrated because so many, people are out there trying to sell this how to get started quick with all these great shortcuts, and they overpromise, they overcharge, and they don't deliver. So I'm going to give you what I know. Now, before I give you rule number 4, I have to go back to rule number 1, which was you're not in the speaking business, you're in the sales business. And if the idea of having to go out and sell and understanding that everything you do, see, everyone's in sales, is selling, then you need to go find another job. You need to go find a job. So, rule number 4, patience is profitable. Okay, what do I mean by that? It's pretty straightforward. You know, if you have your heart set on being a main stage keynote speaker, and that's about probably 60% of my business, of the 80 or so appearances a year I do. The rest are workshops and some coaching and some one-to-one some small group facilitations, which, by the way, is rule number 3, diversify, diversify, diversify. Patience is profitable. So you have your heart set on being a speaker and you want to get booked, obviously. This is how you want to make your living. Well, guess what? Your timing has to meet up with the potential client, your prospect, their timing as well. A lot of people only hire a keynote or a workshop or a training session, that's diversify, once or maybe twice a year. So if you're not out building relationships and getting on their windshield, getting on their radar screen, and understanding that you may have missed the cycle that year and you need to be positioned for the cycle next year. So I do a lot of work, for example, with associations. They have 1, 2, 3 meetings a year, maybe one big meeting, then some regional meetings, that sort of thing. They don't hire keynotes 5 times a month. They don't hire workshop providers 10 times a month. They hire them a few times a year, 5, 6 times a year. And they're not always going to hire the same speaker with the same content. They're looking to diversify. So you need to be patient. You need to understand that the more patient you are, things will come around, and that is profitable. And I find that so much of my business comes from seeds I have planted, which is a sales metaphor, seeds I've planted years ago. And I don't hard sell anybody. And if you are, you may get the gig, but I got to tell you, you won't get invited back because people will remember that you were a pain in the ass to work with, which is rule number 5. Get over yourself. But I'm going to hold that one because, man, that might be the longest video that I have to share with you. So many prima donnas out there. Patience is profitable. You have to be patient. Now, if you put all your eggs in one basket and are just waiting for this one big keynote to come around, you're going to be working, a night job at McDonald's. Okay. So when I say rule number 1, you better learn to sell. That means you better learn to build a pipeline. So the bigger the pipeline, in other words, the more prospects, the more people that are evaluating you for a speaking engagement, the easier it is to be patient with the ones, well, I missed the cycle this year. You know what? Maybe it'll be next year. I need to stay in touch with them. I need to stay on their windshield. I need to maybe send them something from time to time when I have a new keynote or I have a new message that I've developed. You know what? You've got to be patient. Patience is profitable. And while you're being patient with this one prospect, because you've missed their cycle this year, or maybe your message this year isn't the message that they're looking to bring to their conference or a convention, because conference and convention planners look to change up and vary the message. Obviously, they're not going to have everyone's in sales building a sales culture 10 years in a row. Although I have a few clients that have looked to me and said, can you do something on this, that, or the other? Why? Because my message resonated with a lot of their people. Now that goes back to rule number 3, diversify, diversify, diversify. And if you're not checking out my other videos on how to do this, you're missing a pot of gold. This is all stuff that I'm giving away for free. Don't pay for it. Subscribe to this channel. Patience is profitable. Be patient. It'll come around. That doesn't mean that you won't ever get it. And by the way, some you'll miss, right? Because your message just doesn't resonate with the organization or the education committee. Somebody said, no, I want to bring in that guy who climbed Mount Everest. And that's great. That's a different message than what you have, unless you've climbed Mount Everest and somehow you've managed to make it sound like different than the other 15 people who have climbed Mount Everest. And believe me, I'm not criticizing that. I couldn't even begin to hope to do that in my decrepit 64-year-old state. All right, there you know my age now. Don't I look great though? Anyhow, so that's it. Patience is profitable. Fill your pipeline, keep it growing, have lots of great things you're working on. Everything in time will come around. And sometimes you have to be very patient, 2-3 years till you hit the cycle at the right time. The more prospects you're working, the more cycles you're likely to hit. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, because newsflash, you're going to be looking for a second job. I'm Todd Cohen, the sales culture architect. You want to be a great speaker? Well, guess what? You're a salesperson, because everyone's in sales. Stay tuned. Number 5 is coming soon. Then I'm going on vacation, so I don't know if I'm going to record a ton of these before I go. I got a lot to pack, or I'm going to wait till I get back. I don't know. I don't know that anybody's hanging around with bated breath. Oh my God, when's Todd going to release his new video? But if you are, you're more likely to be a very successful, highly paid speaker. Peace out. See you soon.